Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is your girl, Miss Books to you. And I am coming today because I am watching the new Ed Garden show that is on Bounce. And tonight's episode will be featuring Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin, as well as the mothers of the movement. So you'll be getting my live reaction as the show goes on. I felt so connected watching Trayvon Martin's case, and I think I got so emotionally invested watching and receiving the verdict, especially being a mother of a young African American son. So you will see my reaction and get my reactions as things progress. And it's called The Mothers of the Movement, From Tragedy to Triumph. I'm going to try to tweet as well, but I don't know how that's going to go.
They recently gathered in Ferguson, Missouri to support one of their own. This month marks the second anniversary of the creation of a memorial for Leslie McSpadden's Michael Brown. The Mothers of the Movement is a group whose members are all mothers, whose children have been touched by senseless violence, and in most cases have died because of it. They become reluctant celebrities who would give anything to lose their newfound fame. I joined 5 of the mothers in St. Louis to talk about their movement and their lives after the tragedies. I started by sitting with 4 of them, all of whom have lost a child. Sabrina Fulton, mother of Trayvon Martin. Martin, walking from a store, would be killed February 2012 by neighborhood watch coordinator George Zimmerman. Trayvon was 17 when his life was taken. Zimmerman would be acquitted by a jury of second-degree murder and manslaughter. He would become a national lightning rod figure in the debate over the value of black lives. For many, Trayvon and his hoodie would become a symbol of injustice.
And I did take a picture, and I will post that as well, because me and my son took a picture when it happened.
Grant was killed by transit officers in
so it also has Oscar Grant's mother on here as well.
Grant was with friends and returning from New Year's Eve celebrations.
That video was heart-wrenching because the man stated that he thought that he was using an actual taser versus his gun.
Less than a year behind bars.
And he served less than a year. His murderer
was made about the incident. Lucia McBath would lose her son Davis in November of 2012. His death made headlines when he was shot and killed in Florida.
He was shot because of loud music. The man said that his music was too loud.
Michael Dunn, who had a concealed weapons permit, argued with the group of teens. Dunn said he saw a weapon and, fearing for his life, started firing. Davis would die after being hit in the legs, lungs, and aorta. Dunn's defense, Florida's Stand Your Ground law. The judge declared a mistrial after a jury was unable to return a unanimous verdict on a charge of first-degree murder. Dunn was convicted on 3 counts of attempted second-degree murder for firing on the 3 other teenagers who were with Davis, and on 1 count of firing into a vehicle. Retried, Dunn was found guilty for first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole.
Dunn was about the only one who actually got a sentence.
Son Michael Brown was shot and killed by a
Michael Brown's
mother's
on here as well.
Her 18-year-old son Michael was confronted by an officer,
and they shot him
was
dead.
Stopping Brown after a call about a robbery. An altercation ensued, and Brown would be shot and killed. His body would lay in the street for hours, and questions about the shooting arose. The shooting would spark days of rioting and national attention. After controversial deliberation, the grand jury decided not to indict the officer.
They didn't indict the officers that shot and killed Mike Brown.
I started with this question. Is there ever a day since the killing you don't think about it?
Absolutely not. Each and every day I think about my son, and so that's why it's so strange to me when people walk up to me and they remind me about a case that I know so very well. They always tell me about my son with the hoodie on, and he wasn't doing anything wrong, and they tell me their opinion, but I think about this every day. It's my life.
I wake up every day thinking about him and thinking about maybe I could have changed the situation.
And as a mother, I know their hearts have to be heavy because you question, and I think I often find myself talking to my son
Leslie,
just about not keeping his hands in his pockets and, you know, not making yourself. And it's sad that I know that as an African American child, I have to raise him different than a Caucasian child.
And more women that can relate to what we are feeling every day, that has become a new normal.
You agree?
And it's sad that it's a new normal, as she said. That's Mike Brown's mother.
I wake up to every morning is that Jordan is not here. That is my new normal.
Are there mornings that you look for him?
Every day I look for Jordan. Every day I wake up and I know that I don't hear him kicking his shoes around in his bedroom, or I don't hear the music playing so loudly in his room, or I don't have his friends that are, you know, falling through the door and kicking their shoes off by the door and sitting in the den or sleeping on the floor or sleeping in his bed. That is all gone, and that I am reminded of every single day.
I see all of you kind of fighting back tears at this point. Do you cry?
And Mike Brown mother, I think she touched me so much because when I watched the Beyonce Lemonade, you can feel her pain as a mother.
It is something that I have to live with. You know,
you can feel her pain because she cried so hard, like she was fighting back the tears, but she cried.
Cry at home by yourself still?
I cry in front of everybody. But I do have 3 other children, and I try to only show them my strengths. But dealing with this it's a family issue for us, and it's hard not to express myself in front of them.
Sabrina, you have become to
Mike Brown's mother is gorgeous. I love her hair.
Faces of the movement.
With us.
I think a lot of people look to you as a pillar of strength. You present yourself in a certain way, but I'm sure there are days. Talk to me about those days where you're in your 4 walls and you have to find ways by yourself to deal with this.
I can remember recently in May of this year was a really, really bad day, you know, for me. And when I looked on my dresser, I saw a picture of Trayvon, and I folded the picture down because I thought that every time I looked at the picture, it would just make me cry even more. So I felt if I didn't see the picture, then I wouldn't be so sad, because I just woke up in a sad day. It was just a rainy day. It was a storm for me. Everybody's happy but me. You know, I just felt like I was in my own world, just like I'm just boxed in. It's just raining on my head, and the sun is shining for everybody, and I'm just the sad one, you know. I got home, put on my pajamas, got back in the bed, cried some more, prayed some more, went to sleep. And when I got up the next morning, I felt so much better.
I asked them to share the moment that changed their lives forever. How did they learn of their child's death?
I received a call from Trayvon's father. I was at work, you know, I can say that the impact did not affect me immediately. It took time for it to like marinate in my mind, just right. Like, did he say what I thought he just said? Did he say my son? Not my son. My heart stopped beating. My mind stopped working. Just my world just stopped.
Wanda Johnson received a call from her son's fiance alerting her that Wanda's son Oscar had been shot.
His baby is
Wanda rushed to the hospital and was told her child was gravely wounded, and the team was trying to save his life, and that he was in surgery.
I went into the chapel and I began to pray unto God.
Bless Mike Brown's mother heart. Because she is sitting there rocking, and he's asking each individual mother how did they find out about the death. I think
don't let them die.
The ones that were recorded are probably more hurtful than the others, because you actually have video proof and it shows exactly what happened. It's kind of sort of the things that we're dealing with right now in Louisiana in regards to Alta Sterling and the Philando Castile. It's just heartbreaking.
And
my grandmother said she was at work when she found out he was deceased.
My mind clicked. And it was my sister.
Her sister
So I
called her.
clicked over, said hello. She was just crying. And I said hello. She said, they just shot my man. And I just threw the phone. I just screamed out, somebody just shot my son. And when I got there, I just saw police cars, just all police cars. And I got out and I started running again. I was looking for one person,
Mike.
and I didn't see him. I asked him over and over, and said, my son, he wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't tell me nothing. But calm down and be quiet.
They told her to calm down and be quiet when she
Lucia
found
McBath
out
was in Chicago visiting
about her
relatives for
son.
Thanksgiving.
And I saw my phone laying on top of the dresser, and I saw Jordan's
Lucille
father's
McBath,
face
Jordan
pop up.
Davis' mother,
And I picked up the phone
it was
and I said, "Hey, Ron,
Thanksgiving.
how are you doing? Happy Thanksgiving." And he said, "Well, go get Earl." And Earl is my cousin. And I was like, "Well, why do I need to go get Earl?" And he said, "Go get Earl." And I said, "Why do I need to go get Earl? Where's Jordan?" And there was just this silence on the phone. It's just deafening silence. And I said, "Where's Jordan?" He said, "Jordan's been shot." And I just started screaming. And I said, "Where is Jordan? Is he okay?" And he said, "I need you to get on the first plane and come down here." And by the fact that he just even had to say that, I knew at that moment that Jordan was dead. I knew he was dead. And every fear that you have for your child, that when they walk out that door, you can't protect them and you can't watch over them, and that they're exposed to the reality of this world.
And our kids really think that we get on them just to get on them. No, we get on you so you can come home. Like I say it all the time. I tell my son, I tell my daughters, I tell all children in my life, I would rather pay your bail money than to pay funeral costs. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true.
That won't happen to me.
Like, don't fight it if they stop you. And then it's so sad because sometimes they don't even fight and they still get killed. So it's just, it's basically Russian roulette.
He couldn't protect himself. There was nothing he could do.
Up next,
what is in their heart? Do they think when I become a teenager, I'm going to be killed by the police?
Right.
That breaks my heart.
Right.
Ed Gordon is brought to you by The Birth of a Nation, based on the untold true story of Nat Turner. In theaters everywhere, October 7th.
Heavenly Father.
I'm not sure who that lady was, but they are also doing The Birth of a Nation. I'm going to watch that too. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to be able to record it because I do have to go pick up my cousin from work. So I'm not going to be able to watch that in its entirety. But the first couple of minutes I probably will be able to watch. I will also be doing a review for When the Bow Breaks, because I did go see that on premiere night, and you will get my reaction. I don't know if I'm going to solicit the person who actually went with me to go see When the Bow Breaks. I did. My cousin, she went. Everybody's kind of camera shy in my family, so besides my daughter, she wants to do a book review, and I did promise her that we were going to do a book review, but for the most part, everybody else is like, I don't want to be on your channel. So I respect your wishes, and I only record if they tell me, Carly, you can't record. So I will be doing a book review. I'm just talking right now because the commercial is on, but it's just, I also have a recording that I will be making in regards to, since my son is turning 15 this year. It's 15, I guess, I can't say pearls of wisdom for a boy, because I don't know if I could use that for a boy, but I have to name it something else. But I did a pearls of wisdom for my daughter, since she's 12, I did 12 things, and actually want to grow on that. I would want her to have pearls of wisdom for a future to take with her. So I will also record one for my son as well, because it's kind of sort of in line with what's going on today in regards to the police shootings and just how we're treated overall. Have I had bad experience with police officers? Yes, I have. Have I had good experiences? I have as well. Like, everybody is not bad, but they do have a few bad apples, and I do respect, I can't remember the DJ's name, but he said, I think it is, all police officers are not bad. The only thing is, we as a community feel like it's bad. That it's not that we say that all are bad, but you know, if you know something is going on, and to me, which is funny, that it's like the police came up with see something, say something. So if you ask the community to see something and say something, why not internally would you not see something, say something? I don't think I could be in an establishment, sorority, fraternity. I could not be associated with something that I know, Princess, I could not be in something that I know didn't align with my morals and my values. Even when I'm at work, it's still like, it's things that we are supposed to do. Princess, it's things that we are, supposed to do or required to do. And sometimes I may have to tell my supervisor I don't really feel comfortable with that. And I'm glad that she actually respects my decision. It's back on right now. I was hollering because I can't find my remote, so my daughter had to turn it back on. And I'm actually waiting for Jason Deli tonight.
However, this day was started with our sit down.
Do any of you believe the death of your child now serves as a bigger life's mission, not just for yourself, but for all of us?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that.
There's no doubt that we know that our children have been allowed to be used
and it's
as
sad
vehicles for change.
That the mothers were asked, do you feel like your child was a vehicle of change or a part of the movement?
And so,
but what's even worse is that it's just for mothers, but it's more than that. And it seems like that this is something that is growing daily, unfortunately.
I would much rather have Trayvon Martin
here,
with me,
right
here on
She
earth,
said she would rather have her child here.
And save 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 people. And so I know it's bigger than me. I know it's bigger than Trayvon Martin. We all know that it's bigger than our kids. And so we just do what we can to make a difference.
After a much needed break, we were joined by another member of the group, Marion Tolan. Her son Robbie was shot outside the family's home in 2008, just hours before Oscar Grant would be shot and killed. Robbie Tolan and a cousin were in the family vehicle when police confronted them in the driveway of their home. Tolan's father, a former pro baseball star, and his wife, hearing a scuffle, emerged from the home. Family accounts suggest an altercation ensued after a backup officer pushed Mrs. Tolan up against the garage door. Her son got up from the ground and moved toward the policeman. The officer turned and fired a shot, lodging a bullet in Robbie Tolan's liver. The officer said he thought Tolan was reaching for a weapon. No weapon was found. Officer Jeffrey Cotton was charged with aggravated assault by a public servant in May of 2010. Cotton was acquitted by a jury.
He was acquitted as well.
Some will see you as the lucky one in the group because your child survived.
Her child actually
also
survived.
Can be haunting because they assume that the pain isn't as great. Talk to me about how you dealt with that.
The norm is for people to come up to me and say, oh, you're lucky, or what are you complaining about, or why are you still involved in this fight?
Wow.
Your son lived. And it's like, what's your complaint? You shouldn't have any complaints. I have a lot of complaints. He never should have been shot in the first place.
Toland's family took the fight all the way to the Supreme Court, where they eventually won their battle when the court concluded that the Fifth Circuit Court improperly failed to take into account the relevant evidence supporting the Toland's version of the events. Toland says she's not just fighting for her family, she's fighting for all, especially for children.
When you think about these kids that are seeing their cousins, their relatives, their brothers, their friends, their neighbors shot, who they have a relationship with, shot and killed by police for no reason. What is in their heart? Do they think, when I become a teenager, I'm going to be killed by the police? That breaks my heart.
Their children's incidents have been much of the fuel for the Black Lives Matter movement. And Toland says the real message of the movement is being lost on many.
I had a conversation with one of my friends recently, one of my white friends who was very supportive, who went to the trial with us every day. She asked me, are you involved with the Black Lives Matter movement? And I'm like, why? She said, because they're horrible. I said,
she said Black Lives Matter was horrible.
Black Lives Matter is not speaking out against harming police. We're just
she basically saying that Black Lives Matter are not
our sons,
against
our daughters' lives matter.
And there is a certain group of people that refuse to realize that this is happening to African Americans. It's not just African Americans. Now anybody could become a victim of senseless gun violence. And so we need to do something about mindsets. So we're right in the midst of the storm.
Sadly, in that storm, each of these women carries remorse and guilt, believing that somehow they should have prevented the life-altering heartbreak.
You know what? I always think about
what could have
how
done
scared he had to be.
I think she said, Mike Brown's mother said she always wondered how scared he had to be. And as a mother, that is the first thing that came to my mind when they told, or especially when the young lady who was on the phone with Trayvon Martin was talking about, you know, how he was. And although her verbiage, you know, her grammar was not correct,
he had no clue.
But she really was expressing exactly what was going on while he was on the phone. And that's with anybody. I am afraid of the dark. So I know that if somebody who is approaching me, and you feel like it, and it's something that it's a feeling that you get over you, of fear. I couldn't even imagine and at the end of the day, that's a child. He's 17, even though he's close to adulthood, that's still a child. So he's thinking a child mind. The first thing a child does, hell, the first thing an adult does is to run.
I asked each mother.
I mean, and he was fighting for his life.
What do they think of when they think of him?
Each year, as his birthday come around, I try to imagine what type of facial hair he may have, how deeper his voice may have got. He always like chicken on the grill. We do that every year. We're going to continue to do that.
When I close my eyes, I think about his daughter. His daughter just turned 12 in May.
And that's another child without a father.
What about for you? When you think of your son, what do you think of, and then in your mind's eye?
And I don't know why I was so emotionally attached to the Trayvon Martin case. That kind of happened with me with the Casey Anthony case. I literally was depressed. I really was depressed for a long time after Trayvon Martin's death. And I think because I submerged myself in 24-hour coverage, like my parents and everybody kept saying, Carla, you have to stop watching it. Like I wanted to know everything. Like I researched about Trayvon. You know that when anything happens bad to a person, that's the first thing that they do is they publish all of the bad things that the person does. They never say the good things, and everybody has a past. So I know as an attorney for the defense, you are going to try to make that person out to be bad, but at some point it has to stop. And I just wanted to stop before it is my son. So, or anybody else's son that's still living, because I have more than just my son. And, a lot of people say, just do whatever they say. Just do whatever they say. Even with the man that was assisting a mentally ill young man, he told the police his hands were up the entire time, and he was trying to inform them that the boy was mentally challenged, and they still shot him. So at that point, what do you do? And I think it's more so they're so fidgety and on the offense. And as police officers, we respect, and I respect police officers. I respect that they are here to protect us, but I also want them, in Louisiana. I think this is another thing before I close. I want to touch on this as well. Louisiana, they just passed a law because of the situation that happened with Alton Sterling, that if you kill a police officer, I think you either get the death penalty or it's considered, I forgot what it is. Let me see. Let me check right quick, because we're going on 30 minutes. So I'm trying to make it quick. I forgot what the law was, but it's a law in regards to if you basically shoot a police officer. I'm not sure if it's the death penalty or what you receive, but my thing is, if my child is black and he decides not to turn blue, is his life worth less? You want everything in life to be fair. Unfortunately, it's not going to be fair. And unfortunately, we are going to continue to see black men lose their lives. Even black women, because the one with the young lady, I cannot remember her name, but do you understand? Her child saw her die in front of him, get shot in front of him. That child is going to be traumatized for the rest of his life. That's something that you will never get over. You don't get over something like that. I saw my grandmother take her last breath, and it's something that you don't get over. I assisted them to put her in a body bag. You don't get over certain things. So, time will probably pass. I'm sorry. Time will probably pass, and the mothers will find some comfort, but at the end of the day, it's always that void that they have missing. And I love my kids to death, and I they tell you never say you can't imagine, but I cannot imagine my life without my kids. That's a hard thing, especially when it's something like that. If it's not something that's natural, something that you feel that God has done in, taking your child, but, just to die such a horrible death, to get shot. And that's one of my worst fears in life, is to get shot. So I hope you enjoyed the time. I'm sorry that it was a somber topic, but I thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. If you wish to start a discussion below, please do so, and I will try my best to, well, not try my best, I will comment back. But it has to be something that can be done. We need, like they are trying to, know justice. They need more law enforcement training, so it won't be such a scary process. I know the police officers want to make it home, but I also want my son and all of the men in my life to make it home as well. You all have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this.